Pregnant wife gets a call. Your husband is at the hospital with another woman. When she arrived, the doctor warned, what you're about to see may be upsetting. He pulled back the curtain, and lying in the next bed was her neighbor, Jessica. The phone rang at 3:14 p.m. I was folding a tiny yellow onesie in the nursery. 8 months pregnant. Belly huge. Back aching. I answered without looking. Mrs. Thompson? Laura Thompson? The voice was formal, cold. Yes? This is Washington State Patrol. Your husband, Michael Thompson, was in a car accident on I-5. My heart stopped. Is he okay? A pause. Too long. He's alive. He's at Mercy General Hospital. Relief flooded through me. But ma'am, the officer hesitated. He wasn't alone. The air left my lungs. What do you mean? There was a passenger, also injured. You should come immediately. The line went dead. I stared at the phone. He wasn't alone. A client, I told myself. He's a salesman. But something in my stomach twisted. I grabbed my purse, my keys. At the hospital, I ran to the front desk. My husband, Michael Thompson, car accident. The receptionist typed slowly. ER, Wing B. I hurried down the hallway. At the nurse's station, a stern woman looked up. Laura Thompson? Yes. Your husband is stable. Broken arm. Some cuts. He's awake. Thank God. And the passenger? Her expression shifted. Pity. Also stable. In the bed next to him. She handed me a clipboard. I took it and saw the names. Patient, Michael Thompson. Bed 14. Passenger, Jessica Ramirez. The clipboard slipped from my hands. Jessica Ramirez. My neighbor. My friend. The woman who brought me soup when I had morning sickness. The woman who asked to feel my baby kick. I collapsed into a chair. Hands over my face. Jessica. Memories flashed. Her questions about Michael's schedule. Her lingering smiles. She wasn't being kind. She was hunting. A doctor approached. Mrs. Thompson, I'm Dr. Patel. Your husband is awake, but he paused. What you're about to see may be upsetting. I stood. Show me. He led me down the hall, pulled back a curtain. 2 hospital beds, side by side. Michael, arm in a splint, face bruised. Jessica, head bandaged, staring at the ceiling. She turned when she saw me, eyes wide, guilt, fear. Laura, don't, I snapped. Don't say my name. Silence except for the heart monitor. Beep, beep, beep. I walked to Michael's bed, stared at the man I married. He felt like a stranger. The baby kicked hard. I pressed a hand to my stomach. Then I turned to Jessica. How long? She looked away. How long, Jessica? 6 months, she whispered. 6 months. While I was growing our child, she was destroying everything. Michael stirred. Eyes opened. Laura, wait. I didn't look at him. It was a mistake, Jessica sobbed. It didn't mean anything. A mistake, I repeated flatly. The door opened. A man walked in. Tall, tired, confused. David Ramirez, Jessica's husband. He looked at me, then Jessica, then Michael. What's going on? Jessica's face crumpled. David. What the hell is going on, Jessica? She couldn't speak, so I did. Your wife was in the car with my husband when they crashed. They were together. David's face went white. He turned to Jessica. Is that true? She nodded, sobbing. It was a mistake. I'm sorry. David laughed, sharp, bitter. A mistake? Michael tried to sit up. Man, Shut up, David said coldly. Then Jessica did something I'll never forget. She placed both hands on her stomach and whispered, I'm pregnant too. The room froze. David stared at her. Michael's eyes went wide. I felt the floor tilt. What? David's voice cracked. I'm pregnant. 10 weeks. David's face twisted. Is it mine? She hesitated. That hesitation said everything. I don't know, she whispered. David stumbled backward. You don't know. The words hung in the air, heavy, devastating. Dr. Patel cleared his throat. Mrs. Thompson, there's something else you need to know. I turned to him, heart pounding. What? He glanced at Michael, then Jessica, then back at me. The accident wasn't an accident. My blood went cold. What do you mean? The police found evidence of deliberate braking. Witness statements suggest someone tried to stop the vehicle intentionally. Jessica's voice cut through. I told him to stop the car. I told him I was going to tell you everything. Shut up, Jessica, Michael shouted, but she didn't. He said if I told you, he'd ruin both our lives, that he'd make sure David found out. David's face drained of color. I stared at Michael. At this man I thought I knew. Dr. Patel pulled out his phone. The police are on their way. They'll want statements from everyone. I felt my knees weaken. The baby kicked again, hard. I looked at Jessica's hands on her stomach, at David standing there, broken, at Michael, the man who'd just tried to silence his mistress. And I pulled out my phone, opened my contacts, scrolled to one name, Karen Mills, divorce attorney. My finger hovered over the call button. Michael saw it. Laura, please. I pressed call. It rang once. Karen Mills, family law. I took a breath and said 2 words that changed everything. Click for full story on my channel. I need a divorce attorney, I said into the phone. Karen Mills, 43 years old, family law specialist, 15 years of experience, reputation for taking no prisoners, responded without hesitation. Where are you right now? Mercy General Hospital. My husband was in a car accident with his mistress. A pause. Are you safe? I looked at Michael, at Jessica, at David standing there like his world had just imploded. Yes. Don't sign anything. Don't promise anything. Don't leave without getting copies of the accident report. I'll meet you at my office in 2 hours. She hung up. I lowered the phone. Michael was staring at me, his face pale, his mouth opening and closing like a fish drowning in air. "Laura, please." I held up my hand. "Don't." My voice was calm, cold, detached. I turned to Dr. Patel. "Can I get a copy of the accident report?" "The police will have that," he said carefully, "but I can provide medical documentation if needed." "I'll need everything." He nodded slowly. I looked at David. He was still standing there, frozen, staring at Jessica like he was seeing her for the first time. "David," I said quietly. He turned to me, his eyes red, wet. "I'm sorry," I said. "I had no idea." He nodded, couldn't speak. Then he turned and walked out, just left. I didn't blame him. Jessica started sobbing. David, wait!" But he was gone. I turned back to Michael. "I'll be at Karen Mill's office in 2 hours. You can have your lawyer meet us there if you want, or you can make this easy." "Laura, please, just listen. 6 months, Michael. 6 months you lied to me while I was carrying your child, while I was planning our future." My voice cracked slightly, but I didn't cry. I wouldn't give him that. "You don't get to explain. You don't get to apologize. You just lost." I walked out of that room, down the hallway, past the nurse's station, out the sliding doors, into the parking lot. The cold air hit my face. I stood there for a moment, breathing. Then I got in my car and drove. "I need you to understand how we got here. Michael and I met 7 years ago at a company retreat. He worked in sales for a tech firm. I was a graphic designer at a marketing agency. He was charming, funny, attentive. He remembered the little things, how I took my coffee, my favorite restaurant, the name of my childhood dog. He made me feel seen. We got married 2 years later. Small wedding, just family and close friends. Jessica was there. She and her husband David had moved in next door 6 months before the wedding. They were the perfect neighbors, quiet, friendly, helpful. Jessica taught yoga. She was always smiling, always positive. David was an engineer, quiet, kind, the type of guy who'd help you move furniture without being asked. We became friends. Game nights, dinners, barbecues. When I got pregnant, Jessica was thrilled. She brought me prenatal vitamins, recommended her OB, offered to teach me breathing techniques. I thought she cared. I didn't see what she was really doing, gathering information, learning my routines, finding the cracks. It started about 6 months ago. Michael began staying late at work. "Big client," he'd say. "Important deal. I have to close this." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He'd been in sales for years. Late nights were normal. But then I noticed something. He started showering as soon as he got home. Every single night. Even when he claimed he'd been at the office all day. I told myself it was nothing. He's just particular about hygiene, I thought. But my stomach twisted every time I heard the water running. One night, Michael left his phone on the kitchen counter. It buzzed. I glanced at it. A text from Jay. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." My heart stuttered. "Jay?" I picked up the phone, tried to unlock it. He'd changed his passcode. He'd never had a passcode before. When he came back into the room, I held up the phone. "Who's Jay?" He didn't even blink. "Jeff, from work. We're meeting a client tomorrow. Your phone is locked now." "Yeah, security policy. Company thing." He took the phone, smiled, kissed my forehead, and I wanted to believe him, so I did. 2 months ago, I was putting Michael's suit jacket in the closet when I smelled it. Perfume. Not mine. Something floral, sweet, expensive. I held the jacket to my face, breathed it in. My hands started shaking. When Michael got home, I asked him about it. "A client hugged me," he said easily. "Big sale." She was excited. "What client?" "Sandra Morrison. She owns a chain of salons." He said it so smoothly, so confidently. I Googled Sandra Morrison. She existed. She did own salons. She was a client. I felt stupid for doubting him. But the perfume smell lingered. Around the same time, Jessica started asking questions. "When does Michael usually get home? Does he travel a lot for work? How's your marriage? You guys seem so happy." I thought she was just being friendly, making conversation. I didn't realize she was mapping his schedule, learning when he was available, when I wouldn't notice. 3 weeks ago, I was organizing our files when I found a credit card statement. A card I didn't know existed, in Michael's name. Charges at hotels, restaurants, florists, $4,200 in 1 month. My vision blurred. I confronted him that night. "What is this?" He barely looked at it. "Client expenses. I get reimbursed. For flowers, gift baskets, client appreciation. It's all work-related, Laura." "Then why didn't you tell me about this card?" "I didn't think I needed to. It's just for work." He was so calm, so rational. And I was 8 months pregnant, exhausted, emotional. I let it go. After I left the hospital, I drove to a coffee shop, sat in the parking lot, stared at nothing. My phone buzzed. Michael. I declined. It buzzed again. Jessica. Declined. Then a number I didn't recognize. I answered. "Mrs. Thompson, this is Officer Maria Gonzalez, Washington State Patrol. I'm calling about the accident involving your husband." "Yes? I need to ask you a few questions. Can you come to the station now, if possible?" I checked the time. I had an hour before I needed to be at Karen's office. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. Officer Maria Gonzalez, 34 years old, 10 years on the force, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor, met me in an interview room. "Thank you for coming, Mrs. Thompson. What's this about?" She pulled out a folder folder. The accident your husband was involved in is under investigation. My stomach dropped. Why? We have witness testimony suggesting the vehicle was deliberately stopped in the middle of traffic. Brake lights activated suddenly. No apparent reason. What does that mean? It means we're looking into whether this was an accident or something else. She opened the folder, pulled out a photo. Michael's car. Front end smashed. Airbags deployed. Witnesses say they heard shouting from inside the vehicle moments before impact. I stared at the photo. Shouting? An argument. A woman's voice screaming, "Stop the car!" Jessica. "Do you know Jessica Ramirez?" Officer Gonzalez asked. "She's my neighbor. Were you aware of a relationship between her and your husband?" The words hit me like a physical blow. I just found out. At the hospital. Officer Gonzalez made a note. "Mrs. Thompson, did your husband ever exhibit controlling behavior, anger issues, anything that would suggest he might act dangerously if confronted?" I thought about it. Michael had always been calm, measured, rational, but lately, he's been different, I said slowly. More secretive, more defensive when I asked questions. She nodded. "We'll be interviewing both your husband and Ms. Ramirez. If charges are filed, you'll be notified." Charges? Reckless endangerment. Potentially assault if we determine he intentionally created a dangerous situation. I sat back. Michael could be charged. Criminally. "Thank you for your time, Mrs. Thompson." I left the station in a daze. Karen's office was in downtown Seattle. Sleek, modern, expensive. She met me in the lobby herself. "Laura?" I nodded. She led me to her office, gestured to a chair. I sat. She sat across from me, folded her hands. "Tell me everything." So I did. The late nights, the texts, the perfume, the credit card, the accident, Jessica, the pregnancy. Karen took notes the entire time. When I finished, she looked up. "Do you want to destroy him?" The question caught me off guard. I don't know. Let me rephrase. Do you want full custody, full assets, and him to walk away with nothing but child support obligations? I thought about the yellow onesie, about the nursery I'd built alone while Michael was with her, about Jessica's hands on her stomach. "I'm pregnant too." "Yes," I said. Karen smiled, not warmly, strategically. "Then here's what we're going to do." Karen laid it out like a general planning a siege. "First, we file for divorce immediately, citing adultery and financial infidelity." She pulled out paperwork. "Second, we request a forensic audit of all joint accounts and his personal accounts. That credit card you found? We'll trace every charge. Third, we get a restraining order, not because he's violent, but because emotional abuse during pregnancy is grounds in Washington state. Fourth, we subpoena Jessica Ramirez's phone records, text messages, call logs, everything. Fifth, we wait for the police investigation to conclude. If he's charged, it strengthens our case exponentially." I stared at her. "How long will this take?" "Depends on how stupid he is. If he fights, it'll drag out. If he's smart, he'll settle. And the baby? You're 8 months pregnant. Any judge will prioritize stability for the child. Full custody is almost guaranteed." She slid the paperwork across the desk. "Sign here and here. Initial here." I signed. Each signature felt like cutting a rope. I went home that night. The apartment felt different. Empty. Cold. I walked through each room. The living room where we'd watched movies. The kitchen where we'd cooked together. The nursery I'd decorated alone. I sat in the rocking chair, placed my hands on my belly. The baby kicked. "It's just us now," I whispered. My phone buzzed. "Michael, please call me. We need to talk." I blocked him. Then I started packing. My best friend Rachel arrived the next morning with a U-Haul. "You're sure about this?" she asked. "Completely." We packed everything that mattered. Clothes, photos, the nursery furniture. I left Michael's things exactly where they were. Left a single envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside, divorce papers and a note. "You chose her. Now live with that choice." By 6:00 p.m., the apartment was half empty. Rachel drove the U-Haul. I followed in my car. We went to a small rental house in Bellevue. 2 bedrooms, quiet street, safe neighborhood. I spent that night setting up the nursery, alone, but not lonely. Michael called 47 times over the next 3 days. I didn't answer once. Jessica called 12 times, also blocked. David called once. I answered. "Laura?" "Hi, David. I'm filing for divorce." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I should have seen it." A pause. "The baby's mine," he said quietly. "We did a blood test. DNA confirmed it. I'm glad you know, but I can't stay. I can't look at her without seeing what she did." "I understand. If you need anything." "Thank you, David." We hung up. I sat in the quiet, and for the first time in days, I felt something close to peace. 2 weeks later, Karen called. "The audit's done, and $18,000 in undisclosed spending over 6 months. Hotels, dinners, jewelry, flowers." My stomach turned. "Jewelry?" "A $2,400 necklace. Purchased 3 months ago." I closed my eyes. 3 months ago, Michael told me we couldn't afford to redo the nursery floors. He bought Jessica a $2,400 necklace. "Laura, I'm here. We're filing a motion for reimbursement of marital funds, plus interest." "Good." Officer Gonzalez called on a Tuesday. "Mrs. Thompson, the investigation is complete. And we're charging your husband with reckless endangerment." Mr. Ramirez gave a statement confirming he refused to stop the vehicle during an argument. Witnesses corroborate. My breath caught. What does that mean? If convicted, it's a gross Gross misdemeanor. Up to a year in jail. More likely probation and fines. Will it affect the divorce? It won't hurt your case. Michael's lawyer. Tom Chen, mid-50s, expensive suit, condescending smile, tried to negotiate. My client is willing to offer joint custody and a 60-40 asset split. Karen didn't even blink. Your client committed adultery, misappropriated $18,000 in marital funds, and is facing criminal charges. He's lucky we're not seeking restitution for emotional distress. That's excessive. Excessive. Karen's voice turned to ice. Your client bought his mistress a $2,400 necklace while telling his pregnant wife they couldn't afford basic home repairs. He's lucky she's not suing him civilly. Tom Chen shifted uncomfortably. The judge, Honorable Patricia Morales, 23 years on the bench, zero tolerance for nonsense, looked at Michael. Mr. Thompson, do you dispute any of these claims? Michael sat there, silent, defeated. No, Your Honor. Judge Morales made a note. Full custody to Mrs. Thompson. Mr. Thompson will have supervised visitation pending completion of his criminal case. All marital assets split 70-30 in favor of Mrs. Thompson. Mr. Thompson will repay the $18,000 plus interest. Child support set at $800 per month. The gavel came down. It was over. I went into labor on a Sunday morning. Rachel drove me to the hospital. Michael texted, "Please let me be there." I didn't respond. Leo was born at 3:42 p.m. 7 pounds, 9 ounces. Perfect. I held him for the first time and felt the world shift. This was what mattered. Not Michael, not Jessica, not the betrayal. Just this. 2 bouquets arrived the next day. One from Michael. "I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I gave it to a nurse." One from David. "Welcome to the world, Leo. You have a strong mother." That one stayed. Life settled into a rhythm. Leo. Work, sleep, repeat. David and I became friends. Real friends. We had coffee sometimes. Let our boys play together. His son Sam. My son Leo. They loved each other instantly. One Saturday we were at the park. Leo was in a swing. Sam was building a sandcastle. David pushed Leo gently. "Higher!" Leo giggled. David laughed. I watched them, felt something warm in my chest. Not love, not yet, but possibility. My phone buzzed. "Michael, can I see him, please?" I looked at Leo, at his perfect smile, at David making him laugh, and I typed one word back. No. Then I blocked him, for good. David looked at me. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I said, and I meant it, because I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living, and for the first time in a long time, I wasn't alone.